Good evening, viewers, as I welcome you to another Alumni Talk series brought to you by Directorate of Alumni Association. Our today's alumni is Mr. Nirmal Kumar, who is graduated with Aerospace Engineering from SRM University in 2015. After completing his undergraduation from SRM, he did his master's in Mechanical Engineering from Merrimack College, Massachusetts. And currently, he's working as a solutions engineer at Wagner Robotics in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So without wasting any time, let's get to see the man of action. Ladies and gentlemen, as I present to you, Mr. Nirmal.
Mute yourself now. Don't click on yourself. Don't click.
Hi everyone, this is Nirmal. I hope you're having a good Sunday evening. And my name is Nirmal. So I did my bachelor's in aerospace from SRM University in 2015, and I did my master's in mechanical engineering from Merrimack College in Massachusetts. So as he has said, I am currently working as a solutions engineer at Vecna Robotics uh, in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So let's not waste any time. I'll just jump into the presentation. So what is robotics? That's a broad field. Robotics is something which is a mix of different engineering fields coming together and working to automate something. It can be any application which automatically does some work is categorized into robotics. So basically, the first commercial robot, which was invented in 1954 by Mr. George DeWall, and he named it Unimate. It's the first programmable mechanical arm which is now used in industries worldwide in different categories. The first application of mechanical arm was used in automotive industry, and it kind of changed. It became a game changer. Now, the main core of this entire presentation is Industry 4.0. So many people have heard about the Industrial Revolution, which changed the world from medieval age to the modern age. So, what is first Industrial Revolution? First Industrial Revolution is nothing but the change from industries using the steam as energy. And the second Industrial Revolution came during the Great Wars, which is building up assembly lines, increasing the manufacturing rate, which was a game changer at the time. But the third industrial revolution was introduction of computers into the manufacturing chain, where it changed most of the stuff which we know right now. But what is Industry 4.0? Industry 4.0 is nothing but the introduction of artificial intelligence, machine learning, various robots into the workflow, optimizing the entire use case scenario in warehouses in order to be one step ahead of your competition. The most basic emphasis of Industry 4.0 is now everything is customer driven. In order to attract more customers, you have to be agile, ready to change. Even at a short notice, your entire workflow has to be changed. And in order to beat this, every company, like from big, medium, and small, are looking towards some type of automation in their workflow. So let's see, most things which get related to Industrial Revolution 4.0 is Internet of Things. So right now, what is Internet of Things? It is nothing but a giant network of connected things. It's like anything which has a switch to connect to the internet is part of Internet of Things. For example, let's say right now people sitting at home, they can ask Alexa, play something. Alexa, control the weather. Alexa, play this show. Alexa, can you tell me about the traffic? And right now you have a cars, which are usually dependent on data, which they collect from real world environment. Then you have a lot of smart devices creeping into your everyday life. So, for example, how Internet of Things make your life easy is if you have a house fully automated. Your when your alarm wakes you up, your alarm sends a message to your coffee machine to brew a coffee for you. It sends your toaster to make your breakfast ready. It sends to your car, like if you're living in a cold weather environment, like which is basically I'm from Boston, so it's always cold. It can start your car remotely and heat it up. And there are a lot of advantages. It's like and if you observe, like in the past 5 to 10 years, the rate in which we developed in wireless communication, operating system developments, processing speeds, digital footprint, and the cybersecurity, it's a game changer, and it's not going to stop here, and it's going to advance. So coming to the main important aspect, right now the the robotics industry is heavily focused and trying to make a change in the supply chain and logistics industry. Why supply chain and logistics industry in this huge uh, industrial industrial sphere is one thing. Uh, Supply chain is a very core important aspect for a company which are heavily dependent on customers. They need to be one step ahead of their competitors in order to deliver the promised solutions. So, in order to cut down the cost and increase their reliability, and in to increase the speed of deliverability, most of the companies are heavily investing in supply chain and logistics industry. But most of them are kind of suffering from huge trained manpower shortages, and they want to make it more quick and transparent. So most of the robotic companies are heavily driven and invested by these huge supply chain and logistic companies. So this is where it all started. In March 2012, Kiva Systems was one of the only biggest robotics companies in the United States at the time, which was supplying robots to most of the big multinational companies who are big in supply chain and e-commerce businesses. But it all changed once Amazon.com acquired Kiva System for 775 million. What it happened is Amazon mainly focused its entire robotic resources on the internal operations, leaving nothing like, and they showed no interest in sharing the technology with competitors. So what happened? The existing customers of Kiva Systems were left with huge investment loss after they invested in these robotic systems, which were left without any support or software upgrades anymore. So what happened? Many customers lost investments and industrial edge when it came to satisfying customers. And Amazon is usually dependent on customer centric deliverability, and they keep trying to improve their supply chain logistics to keep satisfying the customers and acquiring more industrial edge, leaving huge companies like Walgreens, Staples, uh, and logistic companies like FedEx, DHL, uh, you know, dissatisfied in the customer scene. So if Amazon can achieve it, what the other companies want is they also want to achieve. They also want a piece of the industry. They also want to satisfy the customers. They also want to maintain the dominance in their sphere of industry. So that led to a huge influx of robotic companies from the period from 2012. and most of these companies have been filling the gap which was left by Kiva Robotics, Kiva Systems. So I currently work as a solutions engineer for Vecna Robotics. So my role as a solutions engineer is I once a customer approaches us for a robotic solution in the warehouse, my role is to go on site, assess the customer, see what type of robotic solution helps them in improving the workflow, increasing increasing the return of investment on the money they spent. So Vecna Robotics has a huge different categories of products. We serve medical industry, we serve supply chain and logistics industry, we serve manufacturing sites, and we also are doing a couple of huge government contracts. But when you then you have iRobot Corporation, which is world famous for their Roomba vacuum cleaners. Then you have a different Symbiotic. Symbiotic is a company which they are heavily invested in robotic arms. Then we have Endeavor Robotics, which is a huge defense contractor from Massachusetts. Their market share approximately way around like 40 to 48% of industrial like defense industry. Then you have Boston Dynamics. They are usually a research-based robotic company. Then we have a what we call a e-commerce fulfillment robotic category, where we have Locus Robotics and Six River Systems. What Locus and Six River Systems mainly focus are on fulfillment centers, like a small robots which are good to go pick stuff from aisles and bring it back to a staging area to be shipped out. It's same as a Kiva system. Then we have a Nurela Humatics Corporation. They are not traditional robotic companies, but they are more artificial intelligence companies. Like they teach the robot like difference of navigation, like the navigation that teach artificial intelligence to the robot. Like they're mainly focused on software development of applications. Then we have the gripper industry sector where the robot has to pick stuff up. So we have right hand robotics and soft robotics who are mainly focused on gripper developments, different type of grippers, end effector designs and development, and also they do their own software development. So I want to show you guys a couple of videos regarding our Vecna robotics and uh, so here I go. So basically, what you're seeing is our Vecna Robotics different product catalog. So the robot you're seeing right now are mostly used in different industrial sectors. So there are different aspects and they're easily configurable. So what biggest advantage we as Vecna Robotics have in the industry is our robots doesn't require any infrastructural changes in most of the warehouses or we are able to deploy in any kind of environment which the customer requires, and our robots are easily configurable for them to use for the full potential of development. So what you are seeing right now is a QC bot, which we mostly use in a hospital environments, and these are RC500 platforms, which we use in fulfillment centers, and these are the same RC500 platform but a different configuration. And this is a RC500 platform, same, a different configuration where it can tug different cards in an warehouse environment. And most of our navigation is based on LiDAR data. We use the LiDAR based navigation. It's one of the basic principal navigation systems which we use in robotics. All the companies use the same system. And this is our autonomous pallet jack in an industrial environment. And this is you are seeing a robot showing automatic recovery from obstacles. So if we have anything blocking the path, the system calculates its own path and recovers from that object. And as a industry, safety is our biggest concern in robotics, and each and every company follows a huge standard. So Wagner Robotics has its own artificial intelligence orchestration engine. So basically, it's our own software which delegates work to the system, robotic systems in a warehouse environment. It integrates with the WMS like warehouse management software, and it does the work. It delegates the work to the robot. So it's a pallet detection. So if you have any questions, I'm open to questions regarding what you guys saw and regarding robotics in United States or robotics basically in the world, and different type of robotic applications which we currently are seeing in the world. So right now, Kiva Robotics are out of business. They are now Amazon Robotics. So I cannot answer for Amazon Robotics how much their unit costs. So to give a rough estimate, I would guess around 20 to 25,000 dollars. Hmm. Why did the Vecna Robotics has a system related to the warehouses only like pallet robots can be utilized in home? So the thing is, Vecna Robotics, we do not concentrate on home-based appliances. It's more like iRobot and Ninja Robotics. We are more industrial-based, supply chain-based robotic company. We are more into logistics industries and medical devices. So artificial intelligence is not new, but AI in our robots. So once we show a robot like this is the path it has to take, and these are the tasks it has to do, and this is a dynamic warehouse environment, what artificial intelligence does in our system is it tries to learn, it gathers data. Once it keeps learning, it gathers data, the system tends to improve itself. It does its own decision making, it does its own recoveries. For an example, how about a scenario? So if a robot is traveling from point A to point B, and it has a task of carrying a pallet from point A and dropping it off at point B. So the path has been blocked. Now it has to think. Here comes the artificial intelligence, its brain. It calculates the different navigation paths in the warehouse and tries to choose the shortest path in order to achieve the mission, in order to keep the downtime down low and achieve the task at hand. That's a good question. Having a master's. So basically, it depends on what you're talking about. Like, if you did your bachelor's and if you want to work in India, it's good. You need not require masters, but there's this requirement. Uh, if you want to come here work in United States, it would be easy for you to get into industry, get to know more people by joining a master's program where they have good connections. One thing about United States is not what you study; it's what you know about the people. How good are your connections? And having a good connections is kind of really helps. How can you switch from a AI and ML background to a robotics focused background? It's uh, it's it's a good question. Actually, they are not separate. Robotics is heavily dependent on artificial intelligence and machine learning. So, in order for robotics to be successful, uh, there's no switching. It's like having a artificial intelligence or machine learning background is really helpful for you to be successful in robotics industry. Good question. So right now, Amazon doesn't share the technology with anyone, and Google is a kind of company which kind of shares the technology. And Google, originally, Google doesn't produce any robots. They invest in robotic companies. They acquire robotic companies. They have a huge collection of different robotic companies. At one point of time, Boston Dynamics was also owned by Google before it was sold to uh, Toyota in Japan. So I think Google is kind of right now leading the pack of sharing resources with different. So I would vote for Google. So one thing why automation is very important in this time age is human short power, like trained human beings short power. Right now, the amount of warehouses propping up in the entire continental United States or Europe or Asia. There's one thing, the huge gap of human manpower misplacement, and in order to meet the deadlines, in order to, uh, as a human being, you cannot staff. You have like 24 hours, and you can staff a limited number of human beings, and they can work only a limited number of hours. But robots are the only system they can work 24 hours without stopping, just stopping for a little charging time. But they are continuous rotation of moving goods from one point to another, and they kind of keep the downtime low. So, which foreign university is doing the best research in robotics according to you? That's a cool question. I really like MIT's robotic lab. They're one of the dynamic bunch of people who kind of do crazy robotic projects. I really like the Cheetah project. If you have time, please feel free to Google and look more into MIT's robotic projects. But there are a lot of very good robotic research projects going all around the world. So, what languages are most to learn or go for robotics? The most basic important is C, C++, as they are universal languages for robots, and most of the applications are written in Java and also in Python. So that's good thing. So if you do not belong from core engineering and don't have any knowledge about robotics, can we still go for it? Yes, you can still go for robotics. Most of the robotic companies are not only made of engineers, but they're also made of different aspects. You have business, you have operations, you have deployment, you have so many different people. It's for a company to be successful, we need a good salespeople, we need good management, we need good marketing people. It's just you just need to bring the love for robotics, and you just need to be the person who can understand the complexity of a robotic system and able to articulate it in a good manner and you will succeed in it. So right now, most of the robot companies as well as us are we are working on developing next generation of robotic tools in developing like we wanted to go for more complex robotic systems like reach trucks. if you uh, if you know a warehouse environment, reach trucks are the things where a pallet, like in a DCK stack warehouse environment, we can store a pallet way up high on a shelf. So those type of machines are currently operated by humans, but us as a company, we are trying to automate them. And for anything to be made into a robot, we have to follow a strict set of safety guidance rules set by ASME. So in order to achieve it, we need to. It's a complex thing, and most of the companies are trying to achieve it and make an advantage in the robotics industry. How to begin with robotics career without any prior knowledge? To be honest, most of the people, like some people I know, they had no knowledge in robotics, but once you jump in, once you start working with those, I call them beautiful machines, because robot is nothing but a machine which operates, and once you see those machines working, uh, you kind of tend to fall in love with them, and you will get to know. Once you join a robotic firm or join a robotics team for fun, work on some of the couple of fun projects, then you will understand you need not have any prior knowledge to work on them. Some people think robots can be the end of humanity, like Stephen Hawking. Is that how you feel as well? No, not actually. To quote Stephen Hawking, he said, humanity as a human civilization to survive, we need to space up to other planets. It was he who put that forth, right? So, in order to explore new planets safely, we need to send robotic probes. Then, robots are really important for that. Maybe I can show you guys like how robots can work in a real environment. I'll just quickly show you guys a small video in a real world environment how a robot is working. So if you guys saw that video, it's in a working environment where we have our two pallet jacks working simultaneously with human beings, and we have what happens is in those real world environments, safety is the most paramount thing. And if you see We tend to, I would say, like after watching this video, most of the people might think those are heavy, huge machines, and they're also robots. If we don't work, most of the robotics industry can do much work right now, but the only thing which is stopping is safety. And we are most of the companies are working so hard to get their standards right and safety right. Under actuated robots versus fully actuated robots, what are the pros and cons? Hmm. There are no pros and cons. They are actually completely different, subject matters. Each robot has its own application and its own pros and cons. It depends on the scenario where you're using a particular robot. So, according to the latest research, how close are robots coming to acting and performing more human tasks? To be honest, they are right now working as well in between human beings. I think we are there right now. They're gonna get more better and better as the time passes. And as you see, Sophie the robot, it can show you expressions, it can talk with you, it can give you a good therapy session if you want. Thank you guys for your questions. I know my presentation was short and brief, and my answers also short and brief. It's like most of the robotics industry here is heavily regulated, and it's good. Like best resources you can find is going up onto Google Scholar and reading up latest trends in the robotics industry by good research scholars. That would really help you. And kind of going forward, robots are the game changers. Robotics is a new child in the block, and they're gonna be there for a long time. And if people like it or not, in the software or manufacturing or any industry, they need robots, and robots are gonna change the way we live.